Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Kaushal this side and I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to discuss another type of widget in jQuery UI. We came across several widgets and their usage in the last few videos. Today we'll be going through the Message Box widget in jQuery UI. We'll see the syntax and the use of this particular widget. So before we begin, make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates on programming videos. So without any further delay, let's get started. Now that we are aware of what widgets are and we know a lot about them from the previous few widgets we have been through till now, we know quite a bit about them and their usage, right? So widgets make it easier for us to do certain things without writing much of a code. Now the message box we are talking about here is a message kind of thing that appears on the screen and it looks more attractive than the traditional alert method. We can also customize the box with some properties and make a web page look more interactive to the user. The actual widget name is dialog. It's not message box. Actually, the widget name is dialog, and the work of this widget is to put a message on the screen inside a particular message box. So let's go through the jQuery UI website quickly and we'll then use this widget in our program. Here we are at the official website of jQuery UI and we'll quickly move to the dialog widget to know more about it. So here you can see this is the dialog widget. Click on it and you can see it over here. We have a dialog box with some message on it, right? So this is the dialog box over here. It has a heading which says basic dialog and inside this we have some content over here, right? Now if we take the mouse cursor over the title, you can see the cursor changes and we are now able to drag this widget across the screen. Fine. We can also change the size of this widget with the help of our mouse. You can see the size changing if we try to change it, if we try to increase the size or if we try to reduce the size, we can do it with the help of this widget. Now you can also go through the customizations allowed in the dialog box from the website only, but let's use this widget in our program and we'll see some customizations there only. Here we are in the VS Code. Now there are two simple steps to get the jQuery dialog box. We can either place the content inside the div element and then we can access the content from there, or we can just use the dialog function in our JavaScript file as well. For now, we'll be using the first method in which we'll create a division and add some content inside it. So let's do it here. What we'll do is we'll write here inside this body tag, we'll write here div and we have to provide an ID. So let's say the ID for the div is dialog. We'll close this and here we are. Now we'll write something inside this div tag. So let's say we are writing here, this is a customizable dialog box. Fine. So this is our text. Save the program and you can see it over here. We have the text as this is a customizable dialog box on the browser. Now what we want to do is we want the content of this div element inside the dialog box. For that, we'll move to a JavaScript file. So this is a JavaScript file and we'll write here $. We'll try to access this div tag. So we have the ID as dialog. We'll write here hash dialog, then we'll write here dot. So the widget name is dialog, so we'll write here dialog and that's it. Now the dialog widget will take the content from the div element dynamically and put it inside as a message. Save the program and you can see here we have a message box with the same message as the content from the div element. You can see this message box over here has no title as of now, although we can drag this message box in a web browser or we can also resize it. You can see it over here. Now to add the title, we have two ways. First, we can either use the title attribute in the HTML div element or we can use the title property here inside the dialog function only. So let's give it a try. What we'll do is we'll move to a HTML file and we'll use the title attribute over here. So we'll write here title and let's say the title is title using attribute. Fine. Save it and you can see we have the title over here as title using attribute. Now we can also use the title property as well. So for this we'll move to a jQuery file or JavaScript file we can say, and then we'll write here inside this dialog function, we'll use curly braces and we'll write here title Then we'll pass the title here. So let's say the title is title using property. Fine. For now, we have the title as title using attribute because we are using an HTML attribute for the title. So save this program now and you can see the title changes to title using property. Fine. I didn't remove the title attribute from the HTML file to let you guys know that the title property here will override the title attribute if it ever gets into a situation where we have used both of them. So I hope you guys got this. Now the next customization we can do is we can change the dragging of this message box. Right now we are able to move this message box within the browser. You can see it over here. We are free to move it. So to stop the user from doing this, we have to set the draggable property to false. So what we can do is we can write here after a comma draggable, and we have to set this property to false. All the properties here are by default set to true mostly. So we have to set it to false. Save the program and now try to move this box. You can see we are not able to move this box now. So this is how the draggable property works. Although the size can still be changed with the help of mouse cursor only. We can change the size of this dialog box. So to stop this from happening, what we have to do is we have to write here resizable and we have to pass this property as false. Fine, save it now and you will notice that we are not able to resize this dialog box now. So these are some of the basic properties of this dialog widget. Now we'll further move on and we'll see some more properties over here. Now the following property is close on escape. So if you press the escape key from the keyboard, you can see the message box closes. If we set the close on property to false, then it will not allow us to close the dialog box by pressing the escape button. This is one more property of the dialog widget. So what we have to do is we have to write here after a comma close on escape. Fine, we have to set this to false and we are good to go. Save it now and press the escape key from the keyboard and you can see we are not able to close this dialog box by using the escape key anymore. For the next property, let's add an input box first. We'll see why in a moment. So let's add it first. We'll move to our HTML file and we'll write here before the div tag. So let's say we are writing here first name and we'll use an input tag. So we'll write here input type is equals to text and that's it. Fine. Save the program. You can see we have the input box on the browser. You can see we have it over here. The reason behind adding it is to show you guys that if we try to interact with an element while the dialog box is there on the screen, jQuery will not stop us until we use the model property. So if we try to write here any name, so you can see we are able to do that and we have the message over here as well. Now to make this dialog box a model dialog box, what we have to do is we have to pass the model property to true here. Fine, we have to make the dialog box as a model dialog box. So we have to write here model and we have to pass here true. Save the program and now you can see we cannot access the input box anymore. If we try to click over here, you can see we are not able to do anything with this input box. So what we have to do is we have to close this dialog box first. So let's close it and now we'll try to write something inside this input box. You can see we are able to write anything over here. Right. Now you guys might wonder that this dialog box is opening every time, right? What if we want to open it on a button click? For that, what we have to do is we have to set the auto open property to false first and we have to add a button as well. So let's start by adding a button and then we'll set the auto open property to false. We'll add a button over here. So what we'll do is we'll write here after this input element, we'll write here button. We have to pass an ID over here. So let's say the ID is btn1 and the name of this button is, let's say, dialog box. Fine. Save it now and you can see we have a button over here named as dialog box. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to set the auto open property to false. So for that we'll move to a JavaScript file and we'll write here auto open. Fine. And we'll set this property to false. Save the program and you can see the message box is not opening by default anymore. Now to open the dialog box on the button click, we have to access the button first and then we have to use the open method. Seems a bit confusing, right? So let's try to do it and you guys will understand it much better, I guess. So what we'll do is we'll write here before this dialog box. So we'll access the button first. So we'll write here dollar. The button ID is btn1. Then we'll write here dot click. We are using the click event. We'll create a function over here. And now inside the body of this function, what we have to do is we have to open the dialog box. For that, we'll write here dollar. We'll again write here dialog because we want the content from the div element for the dialog box. Then we'll write here dot dialog. Fine. Now we'll write here inside this open. And that's it. We have to pass the open method here as a string because we want to open the dialog box on a button click. Now save the program and you guys can see here we have to click on the button over here to open the dialog box. Click on the button. You can see on clicking the button the dialog box is opening and we are not able to write anything still here. Right, we are not able to write any name over here. For that we have to close this and then we'll be able to write here anything. And for the dialog box to appear, we have to click on this dialog box button. So guys, these are some of the customizations we can make in this particular widget. I hope you guys got this. You can go through some more customizations from the official jQuery website. So that's all for this video guys. See you in the next one where we will go through autocomplete widget in jQuery. If you liked this video, then do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comments below. Share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe SimpliCode. Thank you.